Loder and Mircea talk about a first wave of enthusiasm that these internet-based systems, all this public access, the social media and so on, was going to lead to new digital democracy. And I saw earlier a similar kind of wave occurred with the use of social media and education systems, that somehow we would just instantly have free and open discussion and everyone would be learning and everything would be wonderful. Then those visions were dashed. People began to see that often these systems were controlled by governments who put severe restrictions on censorship and on what kind of information could get out, or by big corporations, that in a sense it seems that the social media were simply reproducing the social relations and political relations that existed before. They weren't creating anything new. Gladwell's part of that story, in which he says, well, the social media might help on the weak tie connections. That is, someone mentioned earlier about managing 100 Facebook friends or 400 Facebook friends. Well, you can, in a certain sense, with weak tie connections. That is just where you don't really get to know someone, but you can exchange information with people far away. But as Gladwell's argument was that it doesn't really help us with the strong tie connections. All of these things, I think, point to the idea that maybe social media isn't this panacea. It's not going to create this wonderful new era of digital democracy. But Loder and Mircea then raise a question that maybe there's a second wave coming, that it's not so much the public sphere model that Habermas talked about, but it's more of a networked, citizen-centered perspective that connects private sphere, our private lives, with a variety of public spaces. So it's a more complicated kind of relationship. And they're arguing that, in fact, there could be real change. There's the review by Christian Fuchs, it's of the Castells book, and Castells is the one who says the more the movement can convey its message over these networks, the more citizen consciousness rises, and the more the public sphere becomes a contested terrain, meaning contested between ordinary people and people with power. A new book by Jennifer Earle and Katrina Kimport says that when we talk about these things, we need to realize it's not just time and space. It's not just that the web can go faster or that it can go globally, but that it actually is enabling new kinds of action, new kinds of ways of civic action. So, for example, they use the idea of a petition, that creating an online petition is something that can be done where you can get literally hundreds of thousands of people in one day can sign a petition. There's no way that one could have done that kind of thing with the old paper petition and standing on the street corner. So it's not just that it reached out across a greater distance with sharing information. It actually allowed a new kind of what they call digitally enabled social change. So these new arguments start to say that maybe in fact the first wave wasn't so wrong. Maybe in fact social media can make a real difference. So Loder and Mircea talk about raise three big questions in their book. Now, if you haven't read the whole book, you don't know the answer they give, but that's fine. And with just a slight rewording, here's what the questions were. Are these new social media just an internet myth? In terms of, by myth, I mean in terms of how much they're going to change the world for democracy. or do they offer new opportunities for challenging positions of power? And here I would think not only about the United States, but think about other countries and other systems. And then, is this more personalized politics appearing in a way that people can connect, that somehow they're connecting their personal world to these larger political issues?